And no, this way. And over here is my amazing co-host Elizabeth Byland. Say hello, EB.
Hey everyone! So good to see you guys. Thanks for joining us tonight.
She's like a bottle of sunshine wrapped in a hug. But you're here not to hear from us because whatever. We're so very thankful to have with us Jill Bernard. If you do not know, you should know. She's phenomenal. She is the author of Jill Bernard's Small Cute Book of Improv, which you can get from her website, jillbernard.com. She is also one of the founders of Huge Theater in Minneapolis. She has been with comedy sports Twin Cities since the 90s. And she's got a one-woman show that's an improvised musical called Drum Machine, and legit, she's just the nicest person. So please give it up for Jill Bernard. Jill Bernard, yay!
Hi, everybody.
Oh man, I'm so thankful that you're here. I'm so thankful that everyone's here, just because I like a lot of these people, and those of you I don't know, I like you too.
For good things. For good things.
Cool. So Jill, how's it going?
It's going okay. It's going okay. It's a little tense in Minneapolis today. I don't know if you're reading the news, but it's fucking tense as hell over here, y'all. But it's okay. I'm okay.
Yeah, and that's why we need comedy the most. There's bad things that happen, and that's unfortunate. But we have comedy. So I will go ahead and ask, how are you spending your quarantine time?
Well, we made a board game called Go to Cub Foods, which is about going to our local grocery store and all the obstacles that you might encounter in the way. My other big project is I'm playing the video game Fallout 4, and I'm on level 126 of a game that has about 40 levels. So I'm not doing anything. I'm just walking around the post-apocalyptic Boston. Everything's been done already. Like everyone's happy to see me. It's just like not doing anything. And for some reason, that's exactly how I want to spend my time. Like there's nothing to do. I already found my son. He's fine. Like.
So, can you like just elaborate further then on that? Like talk to us then just like about like the theater stuff, right? And like just what are you guys doing then right now during quarantine? Are you guys like talk to us about the scene there?
Yeah. I've thrown up a few online classes. We got some people willing to teach like 4-week classes, a few of them. Honestly, a lot of people are not in a headspace to teach an online class that just doesn't feel good to them. So I let it be really optional for our teachers who would like to. It's funny because they sell weird. Like people register at the last minute as if none of us know what our lives are going to be like tomorrow. So we can't register for an improv class until like an hour. And then we're not doing we haven't figured out really how to do shows that you pay for. We're doing some shows on our YouTube live and hoping to get, like, it turns out that if you get 4,000 viewing hours, then you can make money from your YouTube channel. So we're just like throwing stuff up on YouTube, hoping that people that we can get 4,000 hours, and then I think that means you get to have ads or something, and then you can make some money. But we haven't found a nice way to sell tickets other than like, hey, go to this donation link. I hope you do if you enjoyed this show. And then the city made an exception where anybody with a liquor license could sell carry out beer. So like we sold all the beer at the theater, just in little carry out bags. But we're really not doing much because we've been under stay at home order, and like the mood isn't there to do a
Yeah.
lot. Like people aren't um, like we didn't want to do things out of we didn't feel like doing things out of desperation. We like Mark Sutton talks about theater of inspiration versus theater of obligation, and we didn't want to do anything out of obligation. Honestly, a lot of time has been spent, not me, but my colleague. My colleague Butch wrote a lot of the paperwork. Why did you make me big? This is gross. My friend Pam keeps keeps saying, "Why is my head so big on the screen?" And we're like, "Pam, move back." She's like, "But why is my head bigger than your head?" Pam, we're all in. That was so big. But yeah, we did a lot of paperwork. We we got we got approved for the small business administration payroll loan and another small business administration loan. So that was a lot of the work is doing applications for stuff like that for theater.
Yeah, then you got some of that legwork then done out of the way.
Yeah, we beat Ruth Chris. We beat the steakhouse.
Nice, nice.
You're taking down the man, one improv theater at a time.
Yeah.
Cool. So and we're going to open this up to questions from the audience in just a moment, and then hopefully that'll lead into some fun little exercises. What? For good cue and play. That is a Jill Bernard coined statement, and I just love it so much. But what is something that you would recommend for improvisers to try and keep their skills sharp at this time? Because we're not meeting face to face.
To keep their skills sharp? Do you want to... Does everybody want to learn all the solo warm-ups? Do you want to learn some solo improv? Melanie's like, yes. Do you want to learn some solo improv? Oh, this is so nerdy, though. I'm already blushing. It's so nerdy. The first one is, I don't know if you've ever done this. Well, the first one is to just shake your body out, shake your whole body, like move your butt, move a little bit. Okay, then you're better. That's the first one. The second one is, okay, probably most of us have done a one-word story with colleagues where Jen says once, I say upon, Elizabeth, a time there was, you go around the circle. Here's how you play it by yourself. You designate by blinking your eyes. Like when my eyes are open, I'm one person, and when my eyes are closed, I'm the next person. So I go, once upon a time, 12 alligators had lunch with Michael Jordan and it. Yeah, and you just do that, and that's and then for some people, it's more useful to do a full blink, once upon a time, and then a Zoom thing we've been discovering is on Zoom. Sometimes it's good to look at just the two corners of your computer. You go once upon a time there was. For some people, all that you're trying to do is trick your brain into letting you operate from a different influence, like disconnecting it from the previous word on purpose to make different brain functions happen. It's so stupid. Thumbs up if my instructions make sense. Yeah, does that make sense? Ted, does that make sense?
Sure.
Hi, Carrie. Carrie, did you get to hear the exercise? It's okay. No, you're perfect. You're perfect. We were just about to do a thing. We're going to do a one-word story all by ourselves and blink your eyes every other word. So it's best if we all mute. So everybody mute yourself. Some of us are muted. Imad, did you get to hear what we're doing? I'll tell you in the chat. Ready? And at your own pace, please begin. Yeah, you can only go so far because obviously your brain catches up. You can only do the trick so far. Um, and some people find that it doesn't work at all. So let's have a vote. Like thumbs up if it went great, thumbs down if it didn't work, and then like a middle thumb. Yeah, middle thumb. Like yes, sometimes. Yeah. Oh, it's so stupid and great. The other solo warm up that I love a lot is you look around your home and find two letters. For example, I have on this cup I have a BR. So I'm gonna put together. Oh, Carrie says not sure if I did the exercise or not. I love what you did. Um, Carrie said just one word at a time, alternating which eye is open. That's not how I explained it, but what you did was better than what I explained. Yeah, we were doing both eyes once upon. But I love. Oh my gosh, because then you're also playing with parallax. Anyway, what's parallax? Okay. This is not at all improv related, but close one of your eyes and cover my face with your thumb. Um, then open your other eye and it shifts. Um, like the thing that you're like, it's from astronomy, like how sometimes yeah, if you hold your thumb still but blink your eyes, the distance, anyway, it's how you measure the distance between planets from the Earth. That's not related to improv. Um, so yeah, for the second exercise, you find two letters somewhere around your apartment. Like maybe I have AR, and I'm going to do a little two-word phrase for myself with AR. Like answering rugby players, allocating rugs, alphabetizing rutabagas, anxiously running, anonymously reading. Just some people like to act it out as well. Like they will do the anonymous running around their apartment, but other people, it's just a mental exercise of getting your synapses to fire. So you find two letters. We're kind of lucky because there's letters everywhere. Like I see JD for Jamie Denvier. That's really easy. And you just make a little phrase for yourself to get your mind running. Does that make sense? Thumbs up if it does. Yeah, does it make sense? Judy's shaking her head. Yes. Okay, good. Yay. Ready and go. Yay! Beautiful. And you just
so glad nobody could hear me.
Yeah, right? Parading wandas. What is that?
Sure with carrots.
Yeah. Those are two good solo warm-ups. There's a solo warm-up I love where you think of a group improv piece that you know. Hi! You think of a group improv piece that you know, and you find a one-person way to do it. Like sometimes I play zip zap zop with my shoes off, and one shoe is one person, the other shoe, and then my own feet. So foot, shoe, shoe. Those are the people in the circle. I invented something last night that is perhaps the stupidest thing. No, the stupidest thing I ever invented is improv coaching by mail. This is the second stupidest thing I've ever invented. You have to do a thumb edit. Where you put your thumb over your camera. So it's a two-person it's a two-person scene. So I'm like, Anthony, you don't understand me.
Oh, I think I understand you perfectly.
No, you don't. You don't know nothing about me. I missed it.
I know everything about you.
Yeah, and you to do a two-person scene with yourself, I think you'd have to tape it, like videotape it, Zoom record to make it a thing for yourself. Um, but to answer the original question, how to keep your skills sharp, you may find that you're just too low on Maslow's hierarchy of needs right now. And improv is not important. So please don't be worried if you can't do improv right now. If it's too much right now, don't be worried. It will still be there for you. If you're interested because you're going stir crazy, something I recommend is Improv Fest online. Every Wednesday, gosh, what time would it be your time? I think it would be noon your time because they're in Germany. But every Wednesday they have 5 workshops with different worldwide instructors. I took a workshop this morning with Chris in London, improvfestonline.com. Normally I wouldn't get to take a workshop with Chris because he's in London. But it's a really cool format, and all of the this morning they did a lot of improv forms. Like Charlotte in Belgium taught how to do the game Werewolf as an improv structure. Like, that's cool. So yeah, that's my main tip for how to do improv online. How to keep fresh, but you don't have to keep fresh. Long answer.
No, those are perfect answers. Are you kidding me? Those are wonderful. And I feel like a lot of those exercises are also just like great cognitive workouts. Like when I was trying to do the one word story and I don't know what happens. Like my brain is doing different it's like my brain's starting to do gymnastics and it's wanting to do all kinds of tricks on me. I'm like, no, brain, this is how this game works. Don't do what you're doing, brain. And then next thing I know, like my eyes and my mouth and my body are just not at all aligned. So I feel like it's putting some things in check for me, Jill, and for that I thank you.
Yay, good.
Yeah. Hey, I do have a question for you. It is kind of a teacher question, but maybe there's also probably a bigger question in it. So like, okay, so speaking of worries, so I do this thing where before a show, if I know that I have students in the audience that are watching, as a teacher, I get really nervous because I feel like I've got to, like not
perfect.
Yeah. And I guess even like teacher stuff aside, maybe the real question is just how do you deal with, just like your normal pre-show jitters,
Yeah.
I feel like there's not an improv show where I still don't get a little nervous for. But Jill, if I know I got students in the audience that are watching, oh, Jill, I'm a hot mess before the show.
Yay.
Talk to me about
Yeah, that's great. There's like 3 things in what you said. The first thing is, God, this is the biggest thing I learned this year. And I feel like I wasted 10 years of my life not knowing it. It turns out that no one expected me to be perfect except me. I was the only one who thought I was supposed to know how to do this. Isn't that like shocking news? Like I thought I was supposed to know how to run an improv theater. It turns out nobody else thought I would instantly know how to run an improv theater. That's an expectation I was putting on myself. Also, did anybody here, raise your hand if you've seen the documentary TJ and Dave, Trust Us, This Is All Made Up? Yeah, you've seen it? It's good if you can find it, Carrie. It's really good. It's just mostly it's a recording of their show, TJ and Dave. But my favorite part, and everybody's favorite part that I've talked to is after the show, they talk to each other and they say all the shit that we say. They're like, I didn't say your name because I couldn't remember if we named that character or not. And they're like, I didn't know where we were in that scene. They said all of the stuff that we worry about, we mortals. And I felt so inspired by that. Like, TJ Jagodowski worries about these things too. The best improvisers in the world have the same concerns that I do. So I think it's a beautiful gift for your students if they get to see you be human. If they get to see you make the mistakes they're making, and then you can speak really frankly with them afterwards and say, yeah, my characters did blur together in that show. Do you know about Keith Johnstone? Keith Johnstone talks about having big hands. When you're overconscious of something, then your hands are too big, and I hate doing a solo improv show after I spent all day teaching solo improv because I'm just way too aware. um, but I think the real key is nobody's expecting you to be perfect, and we really like it. Uh, we really like it when our teachers are human, so you don't have to be perfect for them. Like they get a they get a cheap thrill out of, oh, there's my hero making the same dumb mistakes I make. Hey, some of the best improv teachers in the world are not good on stage. I'm not going to say their names because Kale said he's recording this.
So okay, can I just ask you then maybe like a little follow-up question then?
Yeah.
So okay, so then you're in a show and you find yourself starting to think about like, oh, I'm like hyper aware right now of like the big hands, or I'm hyper aware of the stuff that I'm doing and not fully invested in this moment. So what, like in that kind of scenario, what do you do? Is there anything that you kind of start telling yourself? Do you get more physical, become more emotional in the moment? What's sort of like your go-to thing to sort of help quiet that noise?
Yeah. Okay. There's two metaphors at play here. One metaphor is when you improvise, you're under the water, and then something happens to pull you out, right? Like you're under the water, you're really in it, you're living the scene, you're feeling your character, you're in the flow, you're under the water, we're living in this imaginary world that we created. And then you forget what beat of the Herald we're on. Or somebody's cell phone goes off, or someone kicks over a bottle, or you look at the clock, or someone says something a little bit questionable, and you're like, oh Jesus, how do we dig out, right? And you pop out of the water. And then the work is, how can you get back under the water, right? I forgot the character's name. I'm up out of the water. How do I get back under the water? How do I start swimming again? And that's a lifetime of work. The other metaphor at play is when we start worrying about things. This comes from meditation practice. I don't know if you've done any meditation, but like a thought is going to come into your head when you meditate. I don't think anybody can be, people are at different skill levels, but a thought is going to come into your head when you meditate. And to let it land on you like a butterfly and just kind of like let it float away. Don't grab onto it tightly. Just let it land on you. If you can train yourself to notice instead of judge. Like I noticed that I was concerned that there were students in the audience, not I'm fucking up because there's students in the audience. Can I notice it and let it go? Just like, oh, that's interesting. And the thing about mistakes in improv is I've been improvising now for 27 years, maybe 26, 27 years. And the mistakes I made in year one, I still make those mistakes. And every time they come back, I have to laugh. You know, talking over your scene partner. How have you been, old friend? I've missed you. So to take, to laugh at it, not grab onto it, and let it go. Notice it. And that does come from meditation practice. If you can. I mean, I don't meditate, but I've used it in enough improv lessons and enough improv warm-ups that like being able to just notice things. Okay, we're gonna cue and play this. Does everybody know? Is everybody want to play? Is everybody in a play space? Or does anybody just want to be a Kale, you? Okay, everybody's good. Do you know how to pin someone? Not in the 1950s dating sense. Um, but if I'm looking at Angie's video box, up in the corner, the top right corner, I see three little dots. If I move my mouse up there, that's a menu, and one of the choices on that menu is pin video. So I'm gonna assign you a partner, and this will be your pin pal. Now, one thing you need to know is that just pinning someone means that their picture is big, but everyone can still hear your audio. It's not like a breakout room or you can still see them. But I'm going to assign you a pin pal. And then, so Kale, can you pin Elizabeth? And Elizabeth, can you pin Kale?
You got it.
And then Jen, can you pin that darn Ted? And that darn Ted, can you pin Jen? Let me know if you have trouble doing that.
That's done for me.
Lisa, can you pin Angie B in Metro Detroit? And Angie, can you pin Lisa Samuel? And then, are there people who need to turn on their video yet? Maybe you don't want to. Okay, I won't do anybody who doesn't have their video on. Maybe they're naked in the tub. Carrie, can you pin Imad? I don't know if that's how you say it. Imad, can you pin Carrie Spalding? Jamie, can you pin Jenny Stencil? Jenny, can you pin Jamie? It's hard to find people sometimes. Judy and Scott Campbell, can you pin Melanie? And Melanie, can you pin Judy and Scott Campbell?
How do you do a pin?
Okay, so go to their video where you see their video picture on your screen, and in the upper right corner, when you put your mouse on that upper right corner, you'll see three white dots. If you click that, it's one of your choices. Roxy, can you pin Tasha? And Tasha, can you pin Roxy? Everyone has a friend, yes? Is there anyone friendly? Raise your hand if you have no friends. No, just a pin pal. Everyone has a pal, and their face is big. You have a really unique opportunity right now. So first, we're all going to take 3 deep breaths. Breathe it out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Gary's internet might go, but that's okay. We might lose Carrie, but that's okay. We'll be okay. Now you have your pen pal in front of you. We have permission today to just notice this person. Notice everything about this other human being. Notice their hair. Notice their headphones. Notice their smile. Take a look. We get to look at this person, and we normally don't get to stare at people, but now we get to. Look at their home, look at their wall, look at them. Let's breathe in together one more time. Breathe out. Now, go ahead and trace their face on your screen. Go ahead and trace them with your finger. I hope you don't have a touch screen. That might be weird. Go ahead and you can touch them. Scratch their nose if you want. Be polite, but you can. You have to chase Angie down. Yeah. Yeah. And now we'll go ahead and want to do like a classic mirror exercise with them. Like go ahead and someone make a starting pose and the other person will mirror you. Just copy you, right? And now, whoever made that starting pose, just do a movement with it and get a movement going. And then neither of us have to lead. We can just both go, right? Just move with your friend. Make a movement with your friend. Yay. And give your friend a round of applause. High five the screen and yay! Yay! Go back to gallery view. You might have, I think you do have to unpin them or they're just pinned forever and you'll never leave them.
There we go.
Every time you go to speaker view, they'll be pinned for you. For the rest of your lives. Isn't that nice? Isn't that funny and silly? Oh no, you left him out all alone. That's okay. Yeah.
If only it was real,
Yeah. Wouldn't that be nice if Angie's apartment was real?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been teaching a workshop recently called Connecting Anyway. Because Zoom is so, honest to God, weird. It's so weird. And it's so hard to do improv on Zoom. So many times before, like I did a comedy sports match the other day, and the whole pre-show warm-up was trying to see if microphones worked. You know, like that's not how you prep to do an improv show, like panicking with your buttons and unplugging things. Where's that hum? Where's that hum coming from is not my favorite improv warm-up. It's not. But yeah. What other questions do we have?
Man, it's almost as if you have my little piece of paper in front of you. So now we're going to turn it over. Kale is going to be housekeeping. That's what it is. Housekeeping rules. I'll get it eventually. We're turning it over to Kale. He will highlight. So if you have a question, raise your hand. And if you change it to speaker view on your screen, if you're able to do that, Kale will then highlight the person that has the chance to ask questions. So who's got questions for Jill Bernard?
I hope that everyone still has their friend pinned. So they're like, why is only this person showing? Why is only my pin pal showing?
So let's see a show of hands. Who's got questions? Ooh, Lisa.
Let's start with Lisa.
So Jill, I love Drum Machine. Huge fan. So I want to know what inspires you in Drum Machine for you to do a whole one-person show and keep that going? Because every time I see it, I'm just absolutely amazed of where you go with it and your characters and how everything just comes together.
Like how to sustain an hour-long solo show. Is that the question? Yeah. Right? Thank you, Lisa. That's a great question. There's this product called Red Bull. Everyone should drink it before they do solo improv. I think when you do solo improv as opposed to group improv, everything has to be life and death because there's no other source of inspiration. So something that happens in an in a solo improv show, like the example I always used is once I was doing a show about the American Revolution, and a teacup fell off a windowsill and hit somebody on the head. Of course it killed them. Like, of course it killed them. Like, it couldn't be like, oh no, it hurt my head. It had to be life or death. So you just have to play the stakes much higher and much firmer than you would if you were with a group. There's no downtime. And you have to trust. I spend a lot of time doing what I call rolling my creativity, where I don't stop and start being creative. I just let my imagination roll all day long. It mostly comes to like the personifying objects, like what is this pair of scissors thinking? You know, like just like letting your imagination roll without judgment, so that when it's time to play, your imagination is always rolling. You're always in a creative mindset, and it's never stop and start for you. In terms of how the story goes, I think I've trained a lot in Keith Johnstone's concept of what happens next. That's the question Keith Johnstone recommends improvisers ask themselves. What happens next? Um, so, so though I think the way you play what happens next by yourself is you think of an adventure. I pick a flower. What happens next? I put it in the vase. What happens next? I put it on the shelf. What happens next? To get your brain in a mindset of always going to the next step. UCB theater elevates that to if then. If this is
Yeah.
true,
And what?
then what else is true? If your brain's more like that, if you have a mathematical brain and it helps you to think like, oh, I spilled the coffee, then what happens? Then the coffee leaks into the basement, or then I spill everything? Yeah, those are two, like, and when you work with Keith Johnstone, he has you play what happens next for 3 solid days until your brain is never not thinking what happens next.
I love it though.
Yeah!
Awesome. Who's got another question?
I see Judy has her hand up. If you click on the participants, you can actually do a little digital hand raise. So I'm going to go to Judy.
Thanks, Jill, for being with us. Can you give us some more tips on creating a more intimate or interesting relationships?
Oh, as opposed to like you mean like doctor patient, how to make that more interesting, or like if we end up in a couple like 2 wives, how to make that relationship more interesting?
Well, just in terms of what, piggybacking on what you were just saying, as far as the creativity, in terms of what your relationships are, instead of the typical things that we usually kind of have maybe jump to with when we're starting a scene.
I'm not really worried about like the character titles. Um, I'm not really worried about like what character labels we have, you know, a server and a customer at a restaurant, 2 kids on a school bus. Like I'm not really worried about whether that is intriguing. Are you, Judy?
No.
Because I think, yeah, okay. Because I think what's more important to note is that everybody has an adjective, right? For example, hey, ladies in improv, there's a thing that happens where women are very often labeled mom. And I think and it starts early. Like every improviser's like, you know, you're 20 years old on stage and some guy calls you mom and you're like, what? Anyway, I think it happens out of panic. Like an improviser is scared in the scene. They see a woman and they call out, mommy! Like you do, everybody gets scared. But anyway, if you're labeled a mom, or anything, right? Every mom has an adjective, right? My mom, for example, is a music therapist. You know, Sandra Day O'Connor was someone's mom. Like every mom has an adjective. Nobody's just a flat noun. So the scene I use a lot is the McDonald's scene. I love using the McDonald's scene because we all know how it goes, right? You walk up to me and I say, welcome to McDonald's, how may I help you? And you say, could I have the number 2, please? Because you didn't want to say number 1 because you wanted to be creative, so you said number 2. Could I have the number 2, please? And I say, do you want fries with that? And you say, yeah, and that's the scene, the way it's been played in time immemorial. So we take that flat scene and we put some adjectives on it. Or we put a bunch of different things on it. We can put an emotion on it, like I'm not just a McDonald's worker, I'm a patriotic McDonald's worker, I'm a bored McDonald's worker. We could put an obsession on it, like I'm a McDonald's worker who's obsessed with square corners, right? So everything has to be just so. I'm a McDonald's worker who's obsessed with over customer satisfaction. What can you do? Like, let's not be worried about the flat character label. What can you do to add an adjective to that? And also just to know that everybody sees themselves as more complex. You want to see people flat sometimes, but everybody sees themselves as complex. Have you ever been this is a terrible question to ask. I won't ask it, but I'll ask it hypothetically. Have you ever been to the emergency room? Like everyone there is the main character of a story. Everyone there is having the worst day of their independent life, right? So all of them are the most fascinating people to themselves, even though everyone in the emergency room is having like a different thing go on for them. They all think of themselves as the fascinating hero of some amazing journey. So yeah, I wouldn't get too worried about the exact character label. What can I do to put it? Be specific about it, right? I'm not just a shoe salesperson. I'm a shoe salesperson who was a track star in high school, right? So for myself, I'm complex. And then just making the tip that you've probably heard before is just to make it personal, right? There's no improv scene you cannot do, but Bill Arnett says this, there are improv scenes that have a higher tax. So a lot of improv teachers will tell you, don't do a transaction scene where someone is selling someone else something. You can, but it has a higher tax to make it interesting. So maybe I'm the guy at the cigarette store selling you cigarettes, but the complexity to it is like, I know that you're trying to quit smoking and you still come in here every day. So there's like a personal edge to our relationship. That's what makes it more interesting, if it's personal and if there's an adjective on it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Judy. Good question.
Great.
Yeah. Did you ask a question or did you just get spotlighted?
I got spotlighted, but I was ready to ask a question. I was just thinking of how to word it. So for me, I've been improvising for about, I think, a little under 7 years, 8 years or so. And I've noticed that I'm the type of improviser that is reactive. So I will go and like definitely follow somebody's lead. However, it scares the living daylights out of me to be the one to be in that step, to be the one that has to create something. And I don't know how to shake that feeling off. So I feel like the last few months of my life, I've just been like, I don't know how to improvise right now. So I'm going to just take that step back. And this pandemic has been just kind of a good opportunity to reflect on that more. I don't know if I asked
Yay!
a question, but...
You did. No, you totally did. You totally did. And so many people in this Zoom room have been in that mood. There's a Keith Johnstone I'm talking about Keith a lot. I love it. There's a Keith Johnstone exercise that they call the teddy bear exercise, only because they don't know that Keith does it with a different object everywhere he goes. Like it's not always a stuffed animal. It's not always a teddy bear. But what he does is he has each student in the class do a scene with a stuffed animal. I made this. Aren't I really good at sewing? So everybody does this. Yeah, everybody does this scene. You're not doing the voice of it's a different exercise if you're doing the voice of the stuffed animal. But for the exercise I'm remembering, I'm just having a two-person scene with this little animal. And I'm like, Marcus, you came home pretty late last night. I kind of wonder where you are. I kind of wonder if you feel as strongly about me as I do about you. Do you, Marcus? And then, of course, the fact that he's not talking makes me the main character of the scene. But what is really fun, if you do this exercise with a big group of people, is that all of the scenes are very different, even though the facial expression of the stuffed animal is not changing. So they're not changing. And what I like about that exercise is that we get to see like, yeah, like what scenarios are in Tasha's head, right? Like what's in there? What scene would you do if you were left alone? And another exercise I do a lot is we have uh, one one person is silent. It's a two-person scene, but one of the people is silent. One of the people is essentially acting as the stuffed animal, and the other person is driving the scene. The silent person can react; they're alive. It's really funny if the silent person is someone who's normally a steamroller in scenes, because they really want to help. And so they look like a hemorrhoid commercial. They're like silent but struggling because they want to help you. And what I like about that exercise, if you do it with a group of people, is you find out that everyone in that room has the capability to drive a scene, and everyone in that room has the capability to be a passenger in a scene. I would love to see the scenes that you do, Tasha, when you're driving. Like, what would it be? So to do some scenes with an object around your house. We see that you have a lot of fresh vegetables. Maybe you and a potato can do a really excellent scene. That would be nutritious and fun. Um, yeah. I think it's kind of nice that you're alone so you don't have to worry about what anybody else thinks of it. But I don't know you well enough to diagnose why your preference is to support. Um, sometimes that's a side effect of who you're playing with, right? I often see that happen with like a new player on a team and everyone else has got their thing down, right? And so they're not making space for their new friend, and their new friend only gets the scraps. Oh, take the improv scraps, governor. Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right. That was fantastic.
Thank you.
Who's got
No,
another
that's-
question? Oh, sorry, Tasha.
Yeah.
Raise your hand if you have another question.
Okay,
right.
then
Uh,
we'll do a
I
play.
have a question. Oh,
You have a
okay,
question?
Yeah, let's play. No.
Okay, now we talked about it. There's a related exercise. You're upside down. Um, oh my gosh, you're gonna love this. It's very funny. Um, everyone needs to find like an object around your house, like a potato or a little bear. You probably, yes, like this unicorn that you clearly have, obviously. Something near you. And this is, we're doing a show of this. Oh, Ethan! Okay. Super unstable. Ethan, as long as you're not feeling unstable, it's okay if your internet is unstable. Um, um, we're doing a show Fridays at 5 p.m. called The Worst Puppet Show in the World. And here's what the show is. The show is, hey, hey, I love you, man. I want to be a friend. Can't we? So anyway, you're not doing the scene. This little object is. Um, does everyone have a little thing? Tasha, do you still have the potato? Ah. Roxy, do you have something? Okay, good. Does everyone have something? Ted, what do you have? Ted has to find something. Jason is there. Wow. Everybody, oh, that's Jamie. I have the. Oh my God! I hope we get picked to be together. Um, um, so, behind the scenes, Kale, for two-person scenes, were you gonna turn the cameras off for people? Like everybody turn their camera off, and then, uh, I guess we can do it. Maybe I'll just call people, or are you gonna?
Yeah,
I can just.
Do you want to pick two, or I can pick two?
Yeah, I'll just pick two. If everyone has an object, and we'll all stop our video, and then all that happens is, yeah, everybody stop your video except me and Kale. So, like, if it's just me and Kale, yeah, Kale, did you find an object? Oh, Carrie's frozen. Oh no. So yeah, if it's just me and Kale, we're like, yeah, if you can get off camera, do, but it's okay if you can't. And we're like,
Hey, man, I just want to thank you for coming over to my barbecue.
Sure thing. Thanks for the invite. Seems like none of the other neighbors want to talk to me. But you've always been
Well,
kind.
it, the other neighbors are not the nicest people, are they? I hope someday we'll find a different neighborhood to live in.
Yay! And that's it. And then you just do a little scene. Kale, do you have to? Okay, good. So yeah,
Good.
we will.
What do you
Um,
want?
we'll just yeah. Any two people. Let's just have two people start your own video because you're in the mood. Can they, or do they need you?
They can, but I just picked two, so let's see if that works.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Yay!
There we go.
Perfect. And your location is your siblings in an attic. Take it like in your parents' attic and begin.
Oh, I put my weights here somewhere, Jim. I can't wait to bench press together.
Listen, Harry, I've been meaning to tell you something. Ever since we've been stuck in this attic, well, you've changed, man.
How so? What's wrong, Jim?
Well, you keep wanting to be a CrossFit instructor, and
Well, what's wrong with that?
you're going to make
What's
it.
wrong with that, Jim?
Well, I think it's important that you have goals and aspirations.
Yeah.
But I just think that you could be doing something a little bit more, I don't know, cultural.
Jim, I don't want to be a lawyer like you. I actually think you're kind of stuck up.
Yeah, beautiful. What a great scene. Thank you. Two more people. Two more people. Yeah, take your bow. Take your bow, little teacup. There's an owl. And who else do we have? Yay! Oh, three people. How exciting. Yay, good. Um, your location is the break room at a gas station. Your coworkers at a gas station. Roxy, you're muted. Coworkers, this owl and this moose work together at a gas station. And go.
Man, I am beat. It has been a long day. I can't believe how busy this place has been. This is a pandemic. Where are all these people going?
Oh, I understand, but it's because everybody else is closed, and we got gas is so cheap right now, you know?
Maybe we should charge more for other things, like Twizzlers. Twizzlers could be like $5 to make up for all that cheap gas.
That's right, inflation, it plays a part, and you know what? We're gonna salami cut it. So we're gonna keep, 95% of that increase. You and me, let's not tell anybody.
All right, I like the way you think, Moose. I like the way you think.
Yeah, beautiful. By the way, the name of our improv team is $5 Twizzlers. $5 Twizzlers is the name of our improv team. Two more people. Yay, there's Angie. Angie needs another owl. It's very owl-centric. Okay, the potato and the owl. Your location is, you're at a quilting club. You quilt together. And begin.
Stacy, my whole family's always been quilting and I've just never really been good at it. I keep poking my hands.
That's okay, Laura, and I'm sorry. You know, I've been doing this so long that my hearing is starting to go and everything, but it's okay. We are going to win this year if it kills us.
Do you have a mantra that you would like to share with me, Stacy?
Of course I do. You know I don't say anything but quilt and wilt and hilt. And what that means is we gonna win.
Yeah, beautiful. What a great slogan. Something to live by. Oh, phenomenal. Okay, bye, Jamie. We love you. Family Zoom. Lovely. Jason needs a friend. Yeah, that darn Ted and Jason. Yay. Oh, Jason, you're muted. Yay. And these two uh, are in line for concert tickets. They're going to buy tickets to a concert, and they're in the line waiting to buy them. And go.
Dude, I thought you were going to get the tickets in advance.
Told you. I have to barter for them. You were the one that made me in charge. I really question your delegating opportunities, buddy.
Well, as long as we get in, man, I would not want to miss this show.
Oh, we're getting in. We're getting in.
Yay!
Yeah.
I think he's gonna burn them. I think he's gonna roast the ticket seller. Oh no! Yay! Oh, beautifully done. 2 more people. There's Judy. Oh, look at this little bird. Oh, so cute. Jen. Okay, Jen, you're muted. Look, they're friends already. Oh, bye, Ethan. And you two are at a high school reunion. You went to high school together. And go.
I can't believe.
Go ahead.
Hey.
Bill Dunsies. What? Well, you want to say something to me after all these years? What is it?
Well, I just want to say you look as beautiful as you did 30 years ago. I just can't get over it.
Oh, I've been working on myself a lot, waiting for this moment to see you after all these years. You wrote in my yearbook, "Stay sweet," and I have. I've stayed so sweet after all these years. I've stayed the sweetest.
Well, as they say, when the toll strikes one, those who are in competition generally don't get what they want.
Yeah, that's what they always say. They always say that. Are there 2 more people?
We're getting close.
I'm not doing the math. I'm not doing the math. This llama needs a friend. Okay. And if Carrie is frozen, it's okay. It's just a feature. It's just a feature. Carrie is you're visiting. Carrie will play a friend who you're visiting in the hospital because they broke their leg.
Okay. Pete, listen, I know they said no visitors, but I snuck by the nurse's station and I brought you some good treats that I thought would make you and your heart and that bum leg of yours feel a lot better. Uh-huh. Yeah, okay, so I know, every time you look at me like that, and you give me those sad, sad puppy dog eyes, I always feel bad.
Yeah, beautiful.
Can everybody hear me at all?
No, it was cute. We liked it. We liked it a lot. We were frozen.
I literally wasn't not on Zoom anymore. I could see her moving. I couldn't hear her. And then Zoom booted me off. And then I came back and she was still doing a scene with me apparently. But I was part of none of that. I didn't hear any of it. It was very sad.
I wish we could show you what you did. It was so great. It was like, na, 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 na,
you could see my little guy.
Yeah. And it just went closer and closer to the llama, but never quite reached. I think that's everybody. Yeah, turn on your.
Years of study for me to master that.
Yeah.
I'm glad you guys got to see it.
It was beautiful. And it was exactly what I'm talking about. Anything that goes wrong on Zoom is just a feature. It's just a feature. Like, let's make use of it. If the dog is barking, if someone walks by in the background, it's just a feature. If someone's muted, yeah, that's just a feature. We're not going to get upset about it. So, Judy, I thought that was a good example. Like, I think, like, two people at a high school reunion is not a particularly riveting relationship. But what the two of you did, what Judy and Jen did that made that high school reunion scene interesting is they weren't just high school classmates. They were high school classmates who'd always felt super strongly about each other and never expressed it, and now here we are 30 years later. That's how we make a relationship interesting, is we just put an adjective on it and an emotion. Just a strong feeling, I think, makes relationships interesting. So yeah, that's the show we're gonna do. Just dumb little scenes with stuff around our junk around our house. I can't wait. It's the third dumbest thing I've ever thought of.
We love them.
Yeah.
So now, just in these last few minutes that we have this beautiful woman with us, does anybody have any further questions? Any last questions that you'd like to? Yes, Kale. Yes, sir.
I wanted to follow up on Lisa's question. Jill, how did you know you were ready to do a one-person improv show?
Is anyone ever ready for anything like that? I knew because at the time, there wasn't that much improv in Minneapolis, and I had the distinct feeling that I'd done everything there was to do, and I was feeling kind of cocky about it. In fact, years after that, I was interviewed in the newspaper, and I was being sarcastic. I said, I started doing solo improv because no one in Minneapolis could keep up with me. But when they printed it, without the sarcasm, it just said, Bernard said she started doing solo improv because nobody in Minneapolis could keep up with her. And I got a lot of shit about that, but I was like, prove me wrong. But yeah, like I felt like I wasn't challenged. I wasn't, like Elizabeth, you were talking about the nerves and the fear, and I wasn't feeling that anymore. I wasn't getting like the buzz of excitement of doing improv, and I had to find a bigger challenge. And that was the challenge I found. I woke up one morning and I thought there should be a show called Drum Machine. And I went down to the end of my street because there was a music store at the end of my street. And I walked in and I said, I'd like to buy a drum machine. And the person said, what kind? And I said, I don't know. What is a drum machine? And so he sold me one. But yeah, it was just out of wanting a new challenge. Wanting to try something, but other people I know who started solo improv, it was invented in the latest incarnation, and the Edinger was on a two-person improv team, and I bet you know what happened. One night she couldn't come, and he just did the show anyway. So I don't know if it's a matter of preparation. I would love if everyone got a chance to try solo improv. Like even if there was a showcase of solo improv where we each could do just 5 minutes, 3 minutes, just to see what it's like. But it turns out not to be for everybody. There's some people who, like, the connection with other people on the stage is really what improv is about for them. Now we want to see Tasha's like support only solo show, right? Like, I'm just supporting. It's a really interesting place.
Perfect. Thank you.
Great. Ahmad has a question.
Yeah.
Solo improv does sound really intimidating to someone like me. I've only ever performed with many people at once on a stage. So that's what my comfort zone is. But would you recommend it as part of a practice or rehearsal routine? Does it have I'm sure it does have benefits that carry over, right?
Um, my my acting teacher in college said, if there's anything you can do besides acting, do that. If there's any other career that would make you happy, do that. Um, if you can be dissuaded from solo improv, yeah, don't do it. Don't do it if it doesn't sound like, ooh, fun exercise. I don't think you have to do like doing solo improv because you think you have to. Sounds awful. It sounds like, yeah, I don't think you should if it doesn't sound. I mean, sometimes I teach a class and there will be someone in there who signs up and says, I have no interest in doing solo improv, but I heard that it makes you stronger at doing characters in group work and stronger at making choices in group work. So it is good at building those muscles, but yeah, I don't think it's a requirement. It's not an essential vitamin or mineral.
All right,
This has been so. Oh, Ted has a question.
Yeah, it's not so much a question, it's a comment, but I remember back when we were speaking about TJ and Dave, you said that they even talked at the end of the show about this went wrong, I did this wrong, I made a mistake. And for me, my favorite part of improv is the mistakes. When somebody makes a mistake, that's the best gift you can get. That gives you all something to play with. And it improves every scene as long as you make a big mistake. Don't make a little mistake. Make something huge bad happen on stage. That's what
we
I
have
like.
we have kind of a nice example of that from today because Carrie didn't hear the beginning of my instructions on how to play one person. We call one word story Shatner because it sounds like William Shatner. She didn't hear my instructions on how to play one person Shatner, so Carrie invented a version where you blink your eyes, which to me sounds fucking great, right? Like, that sounds awesome. I tell students all the time, you can never do an improv exercise wrong. The worst possibility is that you will invent a new exercise that may or may not be applicable to today's lesson plan. I mean, and I know we're coming, most of us, I hope we are coming at improv from a place of love and friendship and compassion for each other. So we're never making mistakes with the deliberate intention of hurting each other or not paying attention to each other's needs. It's never a thoughtless mistake. It's a simple mistake of, oh, I didn't... The other year, somebody did a tag out edit on me, which is a super basic improv move, but for some reason I missed it. And I was like, what do you want? I'm trying to do an improv scene. Like, what do you want? Like, oh no, an honest mistake, not a mistake out of thoughtlessness or lack of compassion for your fellow improvisers. I'm very much in favor of that. It is where all the beauty lies. I mean, improv is a mistake. If we really wanted to do a good job, we would write a script and memorize it. So the entire art form is a mistake. We might as well embrace it, love it, and use it as a beautiful tool.
Oh, man, speaking of beautiful tools, just kidding. Well, thank you so much for everyone for coming out. Jill, I am your biggest fan. When EB and I saw you together, I think we both just sat in the audience just in awe of how amazing you were. Like, if you ever get a chance to take a workshop with Jill Bernard, take it. It'll blow your mind. I'm a big fan. So is there any parting words that you want to give us, or anything else that we have not done for you, Jill? How can we be of service to you and your amazing delightfulness?
Well, I think Imad wants us to set up a solo improv workshop for later this summer. So let's work on that. And also, Thank you so much for having me. Worst Puppet Show in the World debuts this Friday at 5 p.m. your time, 4 p.m. my time on the Huge Theater YouTube channel. That would be very fun to at least know I have a few people who will watch it.
Did you ever get the amount of followers that you were looking for?
Yeah.
Yes.
Now we're climbing up toward that 4,000 viewing hours, which is much harder than 1,000 subscribers. But yeah, we have over 1,000 subscribers to our YouTube channel. That was fun.
Yay.
I got to eat ice cream cake because of my fake bet with my colleague.
Oh, if you haven't gotten Jill Bernard's small, cute book of improv, I strongly recommend it. Absolutely strongly recommend it. And I think it's only $7 with shipping.
Yeah.
Yeah. So spend your money. Buy from Jill. It's jillbernard.com. You can check out Huge Theater. Where else can people find you if they are in love with you as much as I am?
Yay! Subscribe to Huge Theater's YouTube channel. YouTube.com/Huge Theater, spelled the American way, ER at the end. Gosh, I don't know, like, who knows where any of us will be this summer, right? Like, I don't know.
Well, if you find yourself in Charlotte, North Carolina, there's lots.
I'm teaching a class next Sunday that I can send you the link for. It's over on Huge Theater. Oh, it's not. Yeah, I'll send you the invite to it. It's the whole workshop of connecting anyway. So it has some of the Pin Pal stuff that we did, but more. Yay!
Yeah, get it to one of us and we'll get it out to everybody, including the ones that left.
That'd be fun. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yes. Anything else? Am I missing anything else, EB?
I don't think so. We just love you so much, Jill, and cannot thank you enough for your time tonight. Thank you.
So very much. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you, Tasha.